The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
And you are with Jerry Feitelberg. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing this morning, Ralph?
Oh, good. We're taping this on Friday morning. It's April 6th, and the A's have completed a week and a half now of the new season. And before Andy Dolich and Nancy Finley join us, I'd like you to give your idea of what's going on. Are you happy? Are you sad? Tell me how you feel about the first few days.
Well, the A's finished the 8-game homestand with a record of 3 wins and 5 losses. I think that the highlight for the A's during the homestand was the pitching of Sean Manaea. Sean had 2 games. First game he lost 2-1 against the Angels, and he went 7 2/3 innings. And he pitched a much better game on Wednesday when he went 8 innings and he picked up his first win of the season. So he's 1-1 on the season.
Right.
But his earned run average is about 1.11. It's just minuscule. And in the game that he pitched on Wednesday, he was totally dominant. He allowed just 3 hits to a pretty good hitting team.
Yeah.
And he was outstanding.
He's coming around, and that's expected. Is Graveman going to be there when push comes to shove?
That's a good question. He has not been there for his first 2 outings. In the game that he lost to Cole Hamels, he lost 4-1. He gave up all 4 runs, and he did go 5 innings, but he just didn't have it. I think they got 7 hits or 8 hits off of him, and he was struggling, and he struggled in the opener as well. And so he's got to come around, otherwise the A's are going to be in big trouble. Andrew Triggs, on the other hand, pitched on Monday against the Rangers, went 5 innings, and allowed just 1 run. And he didn't figure in the decision, but the A's won the game 3-1. And they had to face their old friend Bartolo Colon, who's going to be 45 in a couple of weeks.
Wow!
And he still pitched beautifully. But I think Triggs needs a little more arm strength. You got to go a little bit deeper into the game. And the jury's out on the 2 other starters, Mengden and Gossett. And the rap on Gossett was that he can't get past the 4th inning. And he didn't get out of the 4th inning this year in the 1 game that he started. Mengden pitched yesterday. He had a tough inning in the 2nd inning, where the Rangers tagged him for 4 hits. He had a ball ricochet off his foot, his heel, and that was on the surgically repaired ankle. But he came back. He made an error on a bunt. The Rangers tested him on the very next play, and he threw the ball down the right field line. But he did give up 300 runs in the inning. He gave up 4 runs in total. And but he pitched well after that. He retired 11 in a row at one point. It looked like he had settled down and figured out how to get the guys out. So the jury's out on him. I still think he's just an ordinary pitcher, a 500 pitcher at best. And Gossett, I don't think is going to be in the rotation line, but the A's have had so many injuries to the pitching staff.
Speaking of which, has Cotton been operated on yet? Has he?
Yeah, Cotton has had his surgery. I think A.J. Puck has had his surgery. And they placed Paul Blackburn on the 60-day disabled list with tightness in his forearm.
Oh, wow.
They did a MRI or CT scan or whatever they do. They found no structural damage, but they're trying to figure out what's wrong with his arm. And that's very disheartening. And the reason they put him on the 60-day disabled list is they signed Clay Thompson's brother, Trace Thompson. Mm-hmm. They claimed him off waivers from the Yankees, and the Yankees had claimed him off waivers from the Dodgers 2 days earlier. So Trace was a Yankee for 2 days. How's that on his resume?
just 2 days, but a Yankee nonetheless. Did he get into a game, I wonder?
No.
Okay.
Just passing through.
Passing through. Reminds me of all of us when you stop to think about it. We're just passing through, doing what we do. And how did Fowler get called up? What precipitated that? I looked up and he was back on the roster again.
Well, I think that the A's are not happy with their center field play. I think they want they want more production out in center field. Mm-hmm. Although Smolinski had a hit yesterday, and Boog Powell had a triple in one of the games. I think that both those guys are okay defensively, but I think Dustin Fowler has more upside than either one of those two guys.
He does, and I'm wondering if they're ready to turn it over to him. It doesn't seem to me like it's a good idea to call him up to sit. So,
no, that's why they sent him down. That's why I was down in Nashville to get some playing time.
Right. So maybe he'll win the job, and that'll solidify it for a while, because they gave up an awful lot giving up Sonny Gray, and it would be nice if some of these guys start to materialize. I know I'm pushing it. Mateo's a year or so away. Larry's off to a nice start. He seems rejuvenated.
Who is off to a good start?
Lowry.
Oh, Lowry. Oh, yeah. Well, Jed had a good year last year. Jed had 49 doubles last year, and he had a big double the other night. Drove in 2 runs. He drove in a run yesterday with a single. The guy's a hitting machine. He can hit singles and doubles. He doesn't have to hit home runs. They count just as much as a home run. Sometimes they do better.
Okay, Jerry, may I ask, did Pinder get hurt?
Pinder, yeah, he did. He was in center field. They moved him to center field. They put Matt Joyce out in left field, and they moved Pinder to center. Joyce pinch hit for Smolinski. And so Smolinski was out in center field, and they put Joyce in left. And so, of course, the ball comes into left center, and it appeared that Pinder, as trying to make the catch, slid and looked like he hurt himself. They came out running out, checking on him, but I think he was okay. He stayed in the game. I think he'll be all right. And he had some key hits too. He had a big home run the other night.
I've got one real positive and one real negative to talk about. Matt Chapman, the positive, he is really coming into his own. Yeah,
he is terrific out in the field. He made a catch running out over in the foul territory, took it right off the tarp.
Right.
And everything hit on the ground his way, gets gobbled up. He's got a strong arm, and he's hitting over 400 to start the season. He's really picked up his game. Nothing bad to say about him. I think the A's are quite thrilled that he's doing so well.
Conversely, Semien just doesn't appear to be a regular shortstop defensively.
Well, that was the rap on him. Now, he came here. This is his 4th season with the A's. He came over in a trade. They sent Brett Lowry to Chicago, and Lowry's out of baseball now. But Semien came over with Josh Fegley in that trade, and Fegley's on the DL. He broke 2 fingers. But Semien had trouble the first year at shortstop. He had never played the position before. He was a second baseman, and he had trouble throwing. Later in that year, in 2015, Ron Washington came on board, and Ron worked with him, and they worked real hard. And I saw Ron and Semien working on the field with his fielding, his planting his foot for throwing, getting the ball over, and he's improved. Mm-hmm. 2 years ago, he hit 27 home runs, so he's got some pop in his bat. But right at the moment, he's not really hitting well. But he hasn't. I don't think he's made any errors so far. So he may have, but I haven't seen any.
Okay.
The games that I've been to.
It's not just errors defensively; it's range.
Range is important. He's 27 years old. He should have good range at this point in his life. If anyone's had his range cut down, it's Lowry. And it was kind of interesting yesterday. When they did the shift on the left-hand hitters, they put Semien at second base and they moved Lowry over, just shading the bag on the left field side. So Lowry was playing shortstop, and we got a lot of 6-3s on the ground outs.
That's very interesting. That is because he's played shortstop before, Larry.
Yeah, Lowry came up as a shortstop, and he was when he came up with the Red Sox, he was a shortstop, but he couldn't hit. These dogs are going to kill me. The pool guy, Isla's pool guy is outside, and they see Schumann walking out there, and they go crazy.
Oh, I can imagine.
Settle down.
All right.
Add a little color to the podcast.
Absolutely, we love animals, and maybe we'll get Purina to sponsor us.
There you go.
All right. Hey, Jerry, thank you for the update. We're going to attach this to a terrific interview with Nancy Finley and Andy Dolich, and you join in on it also. And another great week in the Comfortably Zoned Radio Networkville.
Okay, great. Yeah, if I could just make a comment on Andy Dolich.
Sure.
He the reason he was president of the 49ers, and he had a huge role with the A's, and I think he worked for the Warriors. Tremendous knowledge, very articulate, very smart, knows everything about, sports management. And I want the listeners to know the key point that he made yet is that the success of a team generally starts with ownership. If ownership is committed to winning, the team is going to win. Just like we saw with the Golden State Warriors. They had Chris Cohen as an owner. He was disinterested. The team floundered. Joe Lacob and Peter Guber came in, and they changed the whole culture of the Warriors. And it's been nothing but success for them. And that's what the A's need. They need someone like Peter Guber and Joe Lacob to take over this club and infuse it with goals of winning. I think the best thing I heard about current ownership was when Yoenis Cespedes went to the Mets or was traded, he said they don't seem to care about winning, and that's apparently a truth, and it's affecting their attendance. They had 4 games this week. They attracted 34,000 people for 4 games. That is pathetic.
That's horrible. And it comes at a bad time when the A's are trying to finalize a ballpark, and it would be nice if the fans showed a little support at this point. But
yeah, it would be.
We'll see. Another week, maybe next week we'll have David on, and he can give us an update as to what's happening. We'll ask Nancy.
Yeah. Well, the first sellout of the season, and it's not really sold out, it's a giveaway, is April 17th, when they have the 50th anniversary game. They've got all 55,000 seats have been spoken for, and they're thinking of opening up Mount Davis to take the overflow and then have up to 63,000 people at the game. How's that?
Oh, wow.
But there's no charge.
Well, that's yeah, but people coming out, let's put it that way. 60, and from that comes some enthusiasm. You attend an event like that, and maybe people will come back. They're doing it. They're putting in that food shack, and they're trying from that standpoint. But it's they're dressing up an old sow. And
oh yeah. The old expression, you can't put lipstick on a pig.
Right. All right, Jerry. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
we will be
great.
back soon. Stay tuned, everybody, for a terrific interview. Nancy, Jerry will be here, and Andy Dolich. Adios.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Here we go.
We are back. A's baseball, past, present, future. I'm Ralph Tyko, the weak link at the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. The host and hostess are here. Ladies first, Nancy Finley, present and accounted for.
Present.
All right. And Jerry Feitelberg, you are here.
We are here.
Hi, Greg. All right, good. Nice to hear your voice. Nice to hear both your voices. We have a special guest that Nancy brought.
Yes.
He is Andy Dolich, and anyone in the A's organization, fans, anybody that doesn't know Andy Dolich from 40 years in the Bay Area ain't with it. So we do. We're happy to have you. And
I'm always happy to be had. So it's great to be with Nancy and
right.
Jerry and Ralph.
And all right,
anytime you could be. Andy knows
having is a good thing. Hey, right. Andy, I am going to turn you over to Nancy and Jerry because they're great A's aficionados. They're actually in the family. I'm out of the family, and I only have one question for you. And we talked a little bit about this off the air. But I, in a serious note, you and your wife, a partner in the business sense, have kept it together 45 years. She is every bit the sports fan, the knowledgeable person that you are. How does one keep a relationship going, a 24-hour-a-day relationship going? What are some of the secrets to being able to do that and
in
work
general,
together
or just for
effectively?
Well, the answer to that question, where Nancy said in general or just sports,
right?
That's part of the answer. In that sports, I've been very, very lucky to be in this business for my adult life, and unlike many, I've been in a number of different sports. Usually people concentrate or the sports magnetizes them for their career. And coming from a very, very strong family background myself, Brooklyn born, Long Island raised, I understood the cosmetic aspects of sports before it became a multi-billion-dollar business, and people who didn't really understand that at the end of the day, even though you had a family at the ballpark or a family in the front office, and Nancy could speak at length about that, if you didn't have a family at home, if that wasn't the base of your life and the foundation of reality, I've seen many, many relationships fall apart because men and women who have these jobs in sports sort of believe they're bigger than the family at home. And I've always just been very, very lucky in my partner and wife, Ellen, and our 3 children, and now 3 grandchildren, that the true level of family is one that's more real sometimes than the fantasy of sport.
Oh, agreed.
Well, and Andy, one of the problems in sports is that there are a lot of demands on your time, and you're away from the home. In sports, you work weekends, nights, and a lot of times you're doing stuff that you can't do with your family, and that's got to take a toll on the family.
It does, however, I would say that there's an example that I will get to, but if where everyone else, the fans at a ballpark or a venue go, wow, that's cool, you work in sports, how great is that? Well, we're working and you're there enjoying it. So,
right, exactly.
Unless you worked in baseball, I mean, the people that work in football, wow, 16 games, big deal. The people that work in hockey and basketball, 80 or 82 games, wow, big deal. Baseball, 162, baby, and homestands that last, 10, 11, 12 days. And you're at the ballpark, at least when I was at the A's, we expected our business operations team, if the game went to 11 o'clock at night, you were in the office the next day at 8 o'clock.
On a holiday, too. If it was a home game on a Memorial Day or 4th of July, you're working.
Well, yeah. However, I think back to the Haas family, who I was lucky enough to work for 15 years.
Yes.
And we started after Walter Haas bought the team from Charlie Finley, and luckily Carl Finley was in the office sort of educating me. He was the one-man show.
Yes.
Very quickly, we hired another 30 or 40 people to do the job that essentially Carl was doing himself. But we were able, everybody talks about the Silicon Valley and how cool it is and ping pong tables and all that stuff of today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you would have walked through our offices in 1982 or 86 or 90, we had our kids in the office playing pickle in the hallways, in our office. And there are very few professional teams. For me, that was the only pro team I ever worked for that had, an environment that exists today. We had it literally 35, 40 years ago.
See, we had that. Well, I don't know I was there with my cousins a lot in Kansas City, and then out here I was walking through, and I would start to play cards with someone or something if there was downtime. But I remember, I didn't know what it was like in other front offices, because Dad wouldn't have wanted to tell people
right.
did that. But I didn't know that was something unusual, because I remember the early 80s being in there. I didn't know other teams didn't do that.
No, I could assure you that George Steinbrenner's kids were not running around the offices at Yankee Stadium. And we happened to have, I remember one year, I'm lucky in that we have identical twin daughters that are now 34. Mm-hmm. And one year we had 3 sets of twins. Mike Gallego had twins. Dave Beard, the pitcher, had twins. We had twins. And in that year, there were 26 kids born to the A's team and front office. I don't know what that says, but it was kind of amazing.
Wow.
Something in the water.
Yeah.
Looks like the A's got an injury out. Chad Pinder is playing center field, and he slipped, and looks like their trainer's on the way out to check him out, see if he didn't hurt himself. That's just an update. We're in the
on today's game by Jerry Feitelberg on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. A's Baseball.
Were you talking about
is Andy Dolich.
Okay.
Nancy and Andy are catching up on old times, and you really crossed paths a few moments ago when you mentioned that Carl Finley, Nancy's dad,
mm-hmm.
was a mentor of yours. And
absolutely.
Would you be kind enough to just pass on some of what Carl Finley passed on to you? Just what was it he said that you can remember really helping you in your career?
First and foremost, the A's front office, if I remember, when I walked in on December 3rd, 1980, had maybe 7 or 8 full-time people. Mm-hmm. Mickey Morabito, came a bit later. Steve Vucinich was there. Lorraine Paulus was the ticket manager. And, they always used to talk about the term box office, and I never quite understood what that meant until I asked Lorraine for all the ticket information, and she gave me a shoebox with a bunch of 3x5 cards, which happened to be their season ticket list at that time. It was a long time before metrics and analytics. And Carl, literally, Nancy has written about this and talked about it, but I had come from Madison Square Garden Corporation. I was helping to run their professional soccer team in Washington, D.C., And MSG is about as sophisticated an organization as you can get. And the A's at that time weren't. But that had nothing to do with the level of professionalism that Carl brought to the office every day. And if you asked him what his job description was, it was anything from A to Z and in between. That's what he taught.
Yeah, he didn't have cards. A lot of them didn't have business cards. They wanted to be able to change. I don't know. I mean, good point. Very good point.
We half-jokingly on this show have talked, and not even jokingly, we've talked about Charlie Finley for the Hall of Fame. We ought to do it. They should go in together.
Of course. Dad should go in under the executive committee, as I assume Andy will do, too, one of these days. And you know, Dad fits all the criteria. There's nothing bad you can say. So I'm just thinking Dad might help pave the way for Charlie. Charlie's already been nominated twice, and sometimes you just have to keep trying.
Well, the deal is that Charlie, and Nancy, you can correct me, but Charlie was Mr. Outside. I mean, he, orange baseball, donkeys, rabbit, and look at me, look at me, look at me.
Yes.
Carl was like, well, that's great, but somebody has to actually run this place. And that was Carl. And people will say, no, you're not telling the truth, but my among many favorite stories was when I went into the men's room the first time at the Coliseum. Above the urinal, there was a telephone above the urinal. Now, this was way before you could find telephones in bathrooms at hotels and other places, and I was sort of flabbergasted and just didn't ask for a while. But finally, and Carl, Nancy knows this better than anybody, he had the most magnificent Cheshire Cat smile of any human being I've ever met. Because he knew everything, and he didn't blurt it out. But I said, Carl, you got to help me out here. What the heck is the telephone doing in the bathroom? And he goes, well, I'm up in a press box. I'm getting the game reports attendance. Charlie is in Indiana or New York or Chicago at the Cape Cod room drinking martinis. And I'm broadcasting the game to him from the press box, but then I got to come down to my office and fill out the Major League Baseball attendance sheets. And, if the call of nature is there, I'm going. And Charlie, wouldn't put up with that. So,
what was going on while he's talking?
When I'm in the bathroom, I'm giving Charlie information on the games. And Nancy, is that not a true story?
Yes, it is. It is. Charlie didn't care what you were doing. Yeah, he just wanted you on the phone.
Well, he only cared what he was doing.
Uh-huh.
And there's one other story that just jumps to mind. I was a board member at the Bay Area Sports Hall of Fame for many years when Lou Spadia was running it. And one year was the only time I ever met Charlie face to face. I think he was the person that was giving the speech on, Catfish Hunter. And Al Davis was there giving a speech on behalf of Fred Biletnikoff for one of the great Raiders. So Charlie was out of baseball by this time, but he had this new invention, which was a football that had glow stripes on it, that all these Friday night football games that didn't have quality lighting, they could pick up the ball.
And it was yellow.
So Al Davis is there, and a photographer, this is also factual, a photographer goes over to Charlie and says, Mr. Finley, can we borrow the football? We want to take a picture of Al and, Fred Biletnikoff. And Charlie sort of smiled and said, no, absolutely not. And the photographer went, no, can I have the football? He said, absolutely not. Do you understand English?
He was.
And the guy was sort of like, what? And Charlie said, if I give you this football, and Al Davis has it, and you take a picture, that SOB is going to get credit for it. I'm never giving you the damn football, and walked away. Never did give him the football.
Oh my goodness.
That's Charlie Finley.
Usually he would want people to hold it and that's interesting. He liked.
Well, he might have given 99.9% of other people, but not Al Davis.
Not Al Davis. No, he knew how Al Davis got the Raiders in the first place.
Oh yeah,
you got it.
I remember hearing what happened to Mr. Valley. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wow.
Okay.
Well,
Mr. Dolich, if you had to make a prediction as to where the new stadium will be, assuming it's going to be in Oakland, and I'd like your thoughts on that, because until it's done, it ain't done. But if there were two locales still up for grabs, A, which would you prefer? Where would you think it would be best? And B, where do you think it will end up? And will it be Oakland? And Dolich.
So Jerry is at the game, and in actuality, and I have not been a shrinking violet on this, he should already be sitting in a new ballpark for the A's at the Coliseum site, where you have a separate Oakland A's stadium and a new Oakland Raiders stadium. So for the 13 years that John Fisher's ownership has been cruising through the Bermuda Triangle of new locations, whether it is Victory Court at Jack London, Diridon Station in San Jose, Howard Terminal, the best place is the current place. The only sporting footprint in North America that currently has 3 sports teams playing. Now that's going to end when the Warriors move to San Francisco and the Raiders go to the neon lights of Las Vegas, but John Fisher should have already made that decision along with the city and the county. The latest news is, I don't view it as a positive, where the mayor has said, this is terrific. The A's will make a decision by the end of this calendar year whether to go to Howard Terminal or the Coliseum. As you know, Dave Cobble, who's the president of the team but represents majority owner John Fisher, last year said the A's would select their stadium and they'd be underway. Well, that went away when Peralta said, are you kidding me? And Howard Terminal, to me, is absolutely terminal. I mean, the amount of money that will ultimately cost the city and the county and the A's, if they're going to pay on remediation of toxics, moving a PG&E power plant, crossover of not 1 but 2 rail lines, dealing with the unions that are driving those 18-wheelers in and out of the entranceway to Howard Terminal every day. That stadium will be built when North Korea is playing in the American League West. So,
go ahead and finish.
Yeah. No, so I think the logical, most cost-effective location is right where Jerry is watching it. John Fisher refuses to engage. He has not been interviewed not one time, since he's owned the team. And all anybody wants to know is, Mr. Fisher, why do you own this team? You use the excuse that you don't have the revenue because you don't have a new stadium. That's nothing but a Trojan horse.
Oh, yeah, the other thing to point out...
Which comes first, the chicken or the egg, as far as a revenue coming in? If they agreed on the new stadium, would revenue start coming in immediately? Or would it be going out for 5 years?
If I could answer all those questions, I would be running to the closest mega ball spitting machine and putting the numbers in and never working again, and I'd make a bid to buy the A's. seriously speaking, Don Fisher has the net worth of $2.5 to $3 billion. They could have already been building. The argument to be enjoined between the city and the county, and again, we have to watch and see where that ends up, because the city wants to buy out the county's ownership of the Coliseum. But let's say that gets done without maximum bloodshed in the next few months. Infrastructure. The A's have said to Dave Cobble, hey, we're gonna pay 100% privately financed for the stadium. That doesn't mean it's going to be the infrastructure, and that's the thorn in this issue.
Okay, that the A's want to buy the Coliseum itself. How does that play into it?
The number that Dave Cobble has identified, and I think it's the real number, $135 million of debt that the city has. I think that is a wonderful ante. If you were playing poker, fine. If the city and the county were to give the A's that piece of land, 130 acres, for $135 million, then I got a whole bunch of bridges that I want to sell to the city and county. And the reason is right across the bay. If you look at Mission Bay, China Basin, what it has become, the Giants are celebrating, their 19th year. If you went 21 years back and saw that location, it was Chernobyl. And now it's the fastest growing, most incredible miracle in California. And that started through a baseball park. And those who go, well, Andy, it's right close to San Francisco and the Coliseum's not close to Oakland. And I go, all right, I don't agree with that. You can always build new neighborhoods. But think about Emeryville. Emeryville was the pits. The city of Oakland couldn't get out of its way in development, and look at what's happened to Emeryville in the last 20 years. Thriving, residential, shopping. Yeah. The Coliseum is the place. The A's owner is playing, a game of chicken with the city and the county. He has through revenue sharing, which is ending in 2 more years, I think. But he's still sitting on an asset that is appreciated minimum 8 to 10 times, from 180 million to 800 or 900 million yearly profit, and crying poor mouth that he can't afford these players unless he has a new stadium.
What about Alameda, the former Navy base?
No, because of what you just said. And the finest transportation nexus in the Bay Area is right there at the Coliseum. You've added a airport connector. You don't have to worry about the toxic underneath the Coliseum. And one of the reasons why the 49ers were able to build Levi's so quickly in 21 months, if I remember, is because they just built on a parking lot next to Great America. So Alameda doesn't work from a traffic standpoint. As a former Alamedan, when you're crossing bridges to get to my island home, sorry, not going to work.
Hey, as a present Alamedan, it's worse than it was when you lived in Alameda.
Oh, sure it is, because everybody wants to live in Alameda. Cool place to live.
Yeah.
It's a great place to live, but you got to stay on the island, which isn't all that difficult. The way the world is today, it's hard to get me off the island.
Like Golden Gate Field is right there on the water, somewhere on the water, so it could be like what the Giants have done, on the water.
The A's don't need McCovey Cove. Oakland is a gritty city, and I mean that in its most positive sense. I hear people saying that Oakland is the new Brooklyn, and I think that's BS. Brooklyn is the new Oakland. And I happen to believe very strongly in the Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. You don't need to reinvent. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's there. I keep hearing all these horrible negative stories about the Coliseum and sewage and all that. That's easily taken care of.
They can put it up in 2 years rather than 6 because you're not going to have environmental studies that will eat you up and add millions to the cost of it. These guys...
if the A's, the Raiders, and the Warriors had never drawn, had been in the pit of attendance and sponsorship, I could easily be convinced of going someplace else. The Warriors have been sold out for, 400 games, close to it. The Raiders sell out even if they're saying, sorry, the heck with your loyalty, we're taking the money and we're going to Vegas. And not just because I was there, but the Haas family ownership, what it represented, the people that worked in our front office for many years. We were averaging 2.3, 2.4 million fans a game. And when we had day games at 12:30, there were 35,000 people there when the team was playing well, not 6,500 people. So if you could never have drawn at that point, I would agree with you. But the fact that when there was a quality team with great stars, many of them local, Ricky Henderson, Dave Stewart, guys like that, now you don't see those kids playing baseball.
Now people ask about attendance. The Giants had poor attendance. I've heard it about the A's.
Right.
Do you think, of course it has something to do with the performance of the team, right?
Well, John
in 50 years, they didn't draw very well.
Under Charlie Finley.
1972 and 1974.
After our World Series, I know.
What I never understood, it took me a while, but arguably Charlie Finley is one of the best self-promoters, and I say that positively, in the world of sport. And he brought a lot of forward-thinking ideas to baseball. But he didn't live in Oakland. That was Carl. That wasn't Carl's job. There was nobody else there. Charlie was an absentee owner. And for whatever reason, as a great promoter, he wasn't a marketer. You had one of the greatest baseball organizations of all time, winning 3 consecutive World Series with some of the greatest stars the game's ever seen.
What's the difference between a promoter and a marketer?
Well, a promoter is look at me, look at what I did. A marketer is getting on the phone 12 hours a day selling his product and bringing checks in. That wasn't Charlie. Charlie was, you like my jacket, you like my houndstooth cap, you like my orange baseball.
Yeah, wait till you see what else I have. Yeah. That kind of
and to a certain extent, I give Dave Caldwell a lot of credit because he's taken a positive viewpoint as opposed to Lou Wolf, who was negative about Oakland and its ability because of their focus on San Jose. But all these cosmetic improvements, the treehouse, the garden, the 50-year celebration, what has it done? If you just look, hopefully the A's, have a very representative team this year and its young players start to blossom. But the fans don't care about that. What the fans care about is seeing the best players. Where do you see marketing about Chris Davis, who's one of the best young power hitters in baseball? Most people see nothing about him. And if I'm a young kid, with the A's having a history of incredible power hitters, Reggie, Jose, Mark, and on, and they don't talk about Chris Davis, they talk about a treehouse, sorry, that's not going to sell any tickets.
Hey, you bring in a catcher who's very well experienced and can hopefully make this pitching staff 100% better just by being there, solidify the position, and you don't hear about it. You should be hearing about that every day. The team, they should be saying, man, we have somebody, an experienced veteran, to build the team around. And nobody's taking that angle.
Right. But see, that the position over the players has not changed. That might have something to do with it. I don't know. It's they need more people in like Cavell.
Well, Billy Bean is a respected baseball operative. Bob Melvin, I don't know Bob personally, but seems like, a tremendous manager, a really good man, a lot of credibility. David Ford, the baseball operation, what are you hearing from them these days? You're hearing more on the marketing side, and essentially the product of baseball are the players and the team. They're not the accoutrements that go around it. And if you don't believe that your core product is as good as it could be, especially in the Bay Area, when you're talking about, the Warriors' incredible transcendency over the last few years, Giants winning 3 World Series, the Niners looking to have the magic of Jimmy G, the Raiders blip when, looked like Carr after the 12-4 season, but now Chucky's back. The A's are an afterthought to people on a daily basis, and you can't have that in an incredibly difficult market. And if you're not big here, whether you're a new restaurant or something else, then you're yesterday's news.
I see on social media fans are talking about, should we pay more money to players? It's like they don't care about being the lowest payroll anymore, like it used to be.
You had a player in Josh Donaldson. You had a player in Josh Donaldson. Yeah, sure.
You guys mentioned the Raiders. As a fan, if I was an Oakland Raider fan, burnt once when they went to L.A., burned twice when they screwed up a big baseball, a nice baseball stadium, if not cookie cutter, had a nice view. It was good enough. Burnt twice. Burnt the third time when they move again. They haven't moved yet, but shovels in the ground. They're going. Would you,
okay,
as a fan,
I have an update for you about
put $1 into the Oakland Raiders? Would you buy one ticket, one piece of a sweatshirt, a T-shirt, ever again? Is there a time when the fans are just going to stand up and revolt to the prices? All of it that we've been put through, $50 parking, this, that, and the other thing. It's crazy from a fan standpoint.
Ralph,
will they
I
stop?
have an update.
Are they going to kill the goose, Andy? Are they going to kill the goose that laid the golden egg?
We have an update. We have an A's update. I heard. What do we got?
Yeah, we got an update. Sin Chu Chu just homered with a man on. The score is now 6-3 in favor of Texas in the top of the ninth. And you talked about the parking price. Parking went from $20 to $30, and a lot of the fans are griping about that.
Isn't the county in charge of that, Andy? Parking?
Yeah, the JPA, the Joint Powers Authority, the city and the county, they determine that in cooperation with the A's. But you brought up
just the A's. It's not just the A's.
No,
it's every sport, every city. It's $50 if it's not $50.
The fluid that runs through the veins of sports is what color?
Green.
It's green. It's green.
With all due respect to Charlie Finley.
Yes, and I would say I can't say Sin Choose Two more than 6 times, but it brings up a point. Shohei Ohtani, I think I've pronounced that correctly, is one of the most talked about players in Major League Baseball leading into this season, with a tremendous following in Japan. And did you hear his name at all when he was coming to pitch for the Angels against the A's? Hardly at all.
I saw the name. I caught the name because I know Japan's big on baseball, and I remember seeing that name.
Well, and look at the marketplace.
Japanese media guys out there.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the 20,000 or 40,000 Japanese citizens or those who are second generation living here.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you said Sadaharu O was coming or Manzanuri Murakami, who was the first pitcher, I think, ever, first player who the Giants signed 30, 40 years ago, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. People care. You know, if you're going to the opera or a concert, you don't care about how the lights look or even where the microphones are placed. I want to hear Pavarotti sing the aria. I want to hear the Rolling Stones. I don't care about the other stuff. And I spent my whole life in the other stuff. And to say that the A's don't have the money when they took a player like Josh Donaldson, who they had under contract, and traded him and he became MVP the next year, then the credibility of the argument literally evaporates.
Oh yeah, I've read that everywhere on social media. I just read. I don't say anything, but I learn a lot about how the fans are feeling. And
well, it's not those glorious 7,200 that are there, and I give them a standing ovation. Mm-hmm. It's the 43,000 that aren't. That's the problem.
So that's
and, you know, you look at the Giants and their opening day yesterday and how magnificent it was. You know, the A's took a shot and opened during the day. It's, you know, it's a tough pill to swallow, but in today's world, there are so many alternatives, especially in the Bay Area, to spend your time and your money. And if the product isn't at the top, people are not going to buy it.
And the Giants, is their attendance down for the same reason, do you think? Because I know that's been in the paper.
Well, it's all relative. I mean, their attendance is down in a microcosm. I mean, the numbers that they've put up for the last decade, they sold out, I don't know, 300 some odd games, 200. I mean, it's apples and oranges between the Giants and the A's. And it used to be the other way. We would put, we were, you know, in the mid-'80s, late '80s, and early '90s when the Giants were dealing with the rumors of leaving for Tampa Bay or other places, and Candlestick was the pit. We outdrew them significantly. And fans in this market, you need to have the best. I mean, the AT&T experience is one of the finest in all of sports. So if you're a baseball fan and you're going to AT&T and then you're coming to the A's and you're seeing both the product on the field, the product in and around it, not much of a choice.
I hear people say less trades. I hear that all the time. You know, I mean, we did keep more players together, and it formed a family. They get to know each other. I know free agency put a damper on that, but I know that, I don't know, money doesn't buy winning either, but there seems to be too much trading. It's gotten people.
Well, I would just say that all businesses are built on three significant pillars. Mm-hmm. And not just in sports: ownership, management, and a quality product. And in many instances, not just in sports, but in business, you only have two of the three. In this case, the owner, John Fisher, has refused to talk to anybody about the future of the team. And again, respect to Dave Cobble, it's not his money. It's not anybody else's money. It's John Fisher's money. And until John Fisher basically lays out his strategy for what he sees the next few years being, then you're right back in the Bermuda Triangle of the last 12 or 13 years without any resolution.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that, Andy. It's up to John Fisher. He's got to say, I really want to do something with this club.
He doesn't talk
He's a
to
ghost.
the media?
No, he doesn't talk to anybody.
John Fisher has never given.
Know what he looks like.
John Fisher has never given an interview in any depth, in any level of sport, locally, regionally, or nationally. And I mean, I didn't know Howard Hughes personally. Amelia Earhart wasn't somebody that I hung around with. But I could probably get to Kim Jong-un and talk to him easier than John Fick.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you heard what happened to Charlie in the press.
Well, yeah, that's, that's history. This is current day.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Hey, our time is waning. Andy, absolutely terrific, informative. I've been waiting to have you on for a long time. I'm thrilled. Thank you. I hope you'll come back again and keep us informed and updated.
Well, to me, the green and gold that has been at the very top of the game through all different types of ownership with some of the greatest players in Major League Baseball history can be there again. The fan base is there, but those fans happen to be extremely intelligent in the Bay Area. And unless they see a strategic roadmap, it doesn't have to be victory right away, but if they don't see some sort of commitment from ownership, it's not going to be a pretty picture at the Coliseum.
Andy, when you come back, I would love to have you share some of your on-field memories of the A's.
I'm happy to share the good, the bad, and the ugly because we had all three of them. So I'd be happy to do that.
Well,
all right. You all have a great day. I hope the A's
talk about business next time. How about that?
Well, I hope the A's come back and win this game and start winning some games, and maybe Sean Manaea can pitch every second day now, and that would really help.
He's been terrific.
Did we say continue to next Thursday? Is that okay?
Well, that depends on if Mr. Dolich has the time next Thursday.
That's what I'm.
I'm sitting on my private aircraft waiting for it to go to Paris. Not really, but we'll talk. But I'll say
we'll talk. If not next Thursday, sometime down the line.
Okay.
This has been fun for me because just learning is fun.
And Jerry, if you see Alan Pond, please give him my best and tell him that the FDA is looking at him, okay?
Right. We'll do it. The game just finished. The A's lost 6-3.
All right. Bad luck. See you, everybody.
3 hours, 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back soon. And stay well.
Yes.
Adios, Nancy.
Okay.
Adios, guest Andy Dolich and Jerry Feitelberg. Adios.
You got a deal. Bye-bye.